could show you a perfectly poverty-stricken people with no view. And I bet you can't believe this, they never heard of Jesus. Heard of Young Buck, Lil Wayne, and Young Jeezy. No one's signing up to go on missions this summer. Rather sit at home and watch Exhibit Pimp in a Hummer. While a 9-year-old is shot down, no one's screaming stop. Now no bridge illustrations for criminals who on lockdown. People deep in Africa looking for an answer, bruh. Chinamen are dying, man, until they know who died for sin. So look what grace did, not for us to stay here inside our comfort zones at home in mama's basement. Get out on the grind, y'all, ain't no better time, dawg. Know you read the Great Commission, let me just remind y'all. Make disciples of the nations, teach them to obey the Lord. Hate to never lead someone to Christ before I face the Lord.
Hi, my name's Kevin Rush, and I'm the lead planner of City Edge Christian Church, and this is Lakewood. Now, 5 years ago, God was starting to stir in something in me and my family and my wife to start a church for people far from God, to reach a whole city by reaching artists and young professionals and families. Lakewood is the most densely populated city in Ohio. It's also the most walkable city in Ohio. This means it's a true city. It has the feel of a city. It has all the domains. It has nonprofits. It has hospitals. It has schools. It has all the things that you think of that really makes up a city. Arts, diversity. The needs of the city are very diverse. I was just talking to the superintendent the other day, and he was telling me that they have 40 different languages within the school district alone. The mayor is very concerned about the housing and everything. The houses were built in the 20s and 30s, and that the market will stay up and develop with the city. As we come into the city, we desire to partner with these organizations to serve and love the city. And through our kindness and love that we show Jesus to them. Lakewood is a great place to live. Travel and Leisure magazine named it one of the top 10 coolest suburbs in the nation. It's in the top 50 too, according to Business Week, of places to raise your family. So this little city by the lake has a lot going on for it. Lakewood is known for its artist community, its business community that supports local businesses, and also its support of alternative lifestyles. Any given Sunday, only 9% of people are in a Protestant church. That means 91% are not. The Catholic Church isn't doing much better, as they've closed, within the greater Cleveland area, the Catholic Church has closed over 50 churches in 2009 to 2010. And the most recent one was St. James in Lakewood, Ohio. And we want to reach the 91% of the people who do not attend a church on Sunday. There's so many people that are looking for a church home. I was talking to a lady named Beth at a coffee shop the other day, and she said, I just want a church that talks to me and not down to me. City Edge is on the edge of the city for the edge of the city. And what we mean by that is we are on the edge of Cleveland for the city of Cleveland. We want to be not just a church plant, but a church planting movement. A church that helps start other churches throughout the city to transform the city. We do this by partnering with people like you and other churches, like-minded churches throughout the greater Cleveland area. Now, Cleveland is known as the mistake on the lake. It's known as the armpit of America to some people. But we love the city and we want to see it transformed. And I understand why it's got these names because of the politics, the corruption, the economy, all kinds of different things. So many things can play into the demeanor of Cleveland. But we have hope because we believe that as we lift Jesus up, Jesus will transform a city through us as we love people beyond reason.
Woo! Good morning, New Hope. You know, we've been in this series for a month now. Are you sneaking out before
I am sneaking.
Say your name?
I'm shady. You gotta watch me.
And so as we think about what it means to be glocal, which just means that the world is both global and local, and we're more connected than we've ever been. And we spent the first few weeks looking at our Jerusalem. Right here, we talked about graduates, and we focused some on us. And then last week, we went to the ends of the earth, right? We talked about Africa in the week that Tom and I were fortunate to be able to spend there. And this week, we're going to look a little bit at our Judea and our Samaria, sort of that one step out, and people maybe who make us a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, it's fun to plan and dream and think about how we can go to the other side of the world, but those people who are close enough where we actually could make a difference if we wanted to, but it's a little bit inconvenient, what do we do with them? And so I'm excited today that we have somebody who not only felt that call on their life, but was willing to pack up, move, and risk everything to carve out some kingdom space up in Lakewood. So I love church planters. I love people who are willing to risk big and do hard things for God. And I love Kevin Rush. So would you welcome him to the New Hope stage? You gonna do sprinkling?
You said you'd do that. He lifts me up like a rag doll. I feel like a little baby, or some kind of who knows what, little dainty woman. Now, I know you've been like we've had an acoustic set, kind of chill. Like I was enjoying it, but I saw some of you nodding off. So I want to wake everybody up. So who wants? It's a stress ball. It's not a baseball, okay? I will not hit you in the face too hard. So I'm gonna throw it this way. Anybody? Oh yeah, right here. Oh, going deep. Don't hit the baby. Oh, woo. Sorry, guys. I got a little nervous. And over here. Yeah, I got one more. Who wants it? Nobody? Nobody? All right, right here. That kid was like eyes big as oranges to get that. Don't worry, guys. On the way out, they're going to be handing those out to you. It's just a reminder on them. They say love beyond reason. And when we set out to basically start City Edge, this was like the mantra. This was like kind of the pulse, the heartbeat of who we wanted to be. We wanted to be a church that really loved beyond reason. Now, here at New Hope, you're in the middle of a series, you said Glocal, kind of talking about it, that the world's flat and we're more connected than ever. And you kind of looked in on two key verses, and which are two verses that like really spoke to me on why I kind of got involved in church, really in mission, and really discipling people. So let's look at those really quick. Matthew 28:18 says this: all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I commanded you. And surely I am with you always. That God says, like, our primary function is to make disciples, is to go. And Rob talked about this in the series that the first week. That it's not just like you got to pack up your bags and go somewhere, but it's like as you are going, when you rub elbows with people in your everyday life, that you are connecting with people, that as you go to make disciples. And disciples are simply followers of Jesus. How do you, as you go, make disciples? And then the other verse you are looking at is Acts 1:8. And you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, that you will receive power. I love this verse. And you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. Now, quick kind of geographic lesson during this time. Can you bring up the map? There's a map. And on this map, it kind of lays out like what Jesus' ministry looks like. You see up to the north, you have Galilee. This is where Jesus grew up. This is where he spent like 80-90% of his life in his ministry. I had the privilege to go there. And you go there, and honestly, it's a lot like Loudonville. It's a lot like Belleville, where we kind of like, where I'm from, where I grew up, just down the road. Just land, it's just like land, and there's nice hills, and some things are pretty, but it's small. And then the next section, just leave it up, Ron, I'm going to roll on this. In the middle, you see this Samaria, and then Judea down here. And it's because it's super blurry, but it says Jerusalem right in the middle. See, Samaria, Judea, they are kind of providences. They're areas, if you will. They're kind of like geographic areas. So when and then right in this middle is Samaria. So we see Jesus' ministry. He travels from primarily Galilee, and then he'll take these trips down to Jerusalem, where they would have festivals, and they would have big celebrations together as God's people. Now, when they would go through this area in between, it was called Samaria. And Samaria was kind of where the other people lived, right? This is kind of, Loudonville people going through Clear Fork country and going like, Colts. We have some rivalries back in the day, but you go through and you go like, these are kind of like us, but they're not our people. They think different. They act differently. They have different traditions. They have different ways that they go about doing things. They actually call these, if you read through the Bible, you hear, when they talk about Samaria, you always hear this disdain for them. It's like those half-breeds, those dogs, they're like dogs getting scraps off the table. It always has these references of those people and those cities. It's not just like Judea. See, if you're from Jerusalem, if this is your base camp, if you will, those people that are close to you, they're kind of like you. They think like you. They act like you. But what about those people there? And it's interesting that Jesus is really kind of one of the first people to say, you're going to go to those cities, to those people. In 2009, I finished up here at New Hope and began to kind of step out on my church planning journey. And I began to tell people, God's calling us to Cleveland. And you get this reaction. I don't understand. I kind of understand. But you get this reaction from everybody, and they go, Cleveland? Cleveland? Or it's like they regress to their puberty age, all of a sudden. Or like there's a frog in there. They're like, Cleveland? Cleveland? Why would you go to Cleveland for? And I understood that, about the time I also stepped out, Forbes magazine launched out its most miserable city in 2010. Guess what it was? Cleveland. Yes, most miserable city. Love it. And this is where God is calling us to. And I didn't think much of it because I'm a very optimistic person if you're around me. And also God just was growing in my heart and in my head this vision for the city that what if in one lifetime the city that was dubbed the Mistake on the Lake was known as the most creative, innovative, unified, and hopeful city in the country? What if the God's people started fighting for it, started really loving people, and started caring for it? And when historians came back and looked and go like, well, what was it? They would be like, well, we have to be honest. It had something to do with this Jesus movement and these Jesus followers. What if one generation, we just have to be honest, it was that the Christians started to really love people like they said they were going to. This was the vision that compelled me, that drug me, gladfully to Cleveland, but took me and pulled me. And every time that I would think about it, we would step out into that. Now, when you step out into a vision for God, it sounds all good, and it's like, yes, you're optimistic and excited. But as soon as you start to do it, as soon as you start to put faith in God, there becomes resistances that come in. And we all have these in our lives. You just don't have to, be a church planner moving, but we all have massive resistances that come when we try to step out in faith. Now, I could tell you the resistances in my word, but Sandra, my smoking hot wife with 2 T's, hot. She's not here, and I didn't want to put a picture on the screen because it would blind you. It's like looking into the sun. It's so majestic. But my wife and my 2, soon-to-be 3 kids, when we left, we moved to Cleveland. I thought instead of me telling you the perspective, she had the opportunity to write in a book called Bloom for Church Planning Wives. And she basically lays out our first year of kind of going, here's the picture of the book. And in the book, she kind of lays out the first year of our journey. So I would just like to put it in her words. And this is from her point of view, her writing. She says, within the first year, when you move to a new city, you already have some adjusting to go through. But when you move to a new city to start a new church community, you are overwhelmed on a whole nother level. Within the first year of living in Lakewood, we experienced reoccurring and often completely unrelated illnesses. The week that we moved into our new home, our 2 daughters, our 3-year-old and 1-year-old at the time, had double ear infections and conjunctivitis that lasted for weeks. My husband soon after had to be taken. I'm the husband, by the way. The husband, soon after, they had been taken to the hospital, treated pneumonia, gastritis, and double ear infections. And during all that, I was pregnant. Not me, my wife again. I was pregnant 3 months and just trying to stay afloat. She was 3 months pregnant. We have experienced bedbugs infestation in the other apartment of a duplex that we lived in. Talk about paranoia. And although we never got them, I still itch when I think about it. When we were learning to rely on God to provide for both our mortgage payment from where we moved from and the rent of our place in Lakewood. Each month, we were never completely sure where all the money would come from. Then, someone who was on trial for abuse and his infant son joined the launch team, and for months tried to hide it from the team. When my husband confronted him on his lack of transparency, he began attacking my husband and his leadership. We felt the pull of Satan trying to tear things apart even before we launched. And 1 month after we launched, I gave birth to my amazing daughter, Mila. The day that I brought her home from the hospital, our neighbor, a single mom with 2 kids of her own, had a homeless family of 4 move in with her. Considering that this neighbor lived above us, it sounded like a herd of elephants that were living there. Needless to say, sleep was at a minimum. We had to learn to love the GLBT community beyond reason, even when it was awkward. One Sunday during setup, before our worship gathering, a first-time guest who was a transgender accidentally fell into my husband and grabbed his butt. Twice. On Sunday morning, New Year's Day 2012, we woke up to find out that our church trailer got broken into and $7,500 worth of equipment was stolen out of it. Happy New Year! At first, a first-time guest to our church came in and told me that someone must have been smoking an organic substance in the bathroom of our middle school that we worship in, and I'm not talking about Buckeye leaves. How's that for first impressions? And 8 months after we launched, my husband and I woke up with a sinking feeling that we're all alone in this, and that we were the only 2 that really cared about the mission of God has called us to. And we gave way to these feelings, and anxiety set in. These are just some of the challenges that we encouraged as we started our church. See, it became very clear to me that I was not in Jerusalem, and I was not in Judea, a place that's familiar, that I'm close with. I understand the culture, the beliefs, the temperaments. I mean, in all my time in Loudonville or Ashland or even Mansfield, I never got filled up outside of the gathering, I mean, that never happened, Thanks for that, guys, by the way. Like, I never thought I'd have to say that, but thanks. Never happened. And, I mean, just to be clear, Rob, they don't teach you how to deal with that in seminary, right? Tom, anybody Bible school? They didn't teach me on this. What happens when a transgender grabs your butt before service? Like, that's not a class, at least that I know of. It should be. I'm going to go back and teach it. I think I'm the utmost expert on this. But as you step out, you learn, as we stepped out, we learned that we were not in Judea. We were in Samaria, in a place that was completely new to us, and a complete place that felt like that really nobody agreed on anything. Actually, the only thing that Clevelanders agree on is 2 things. We despise Art Modell, God rest his soul. See, even you guys. And the one that we do not speak of, who has now taken his talents to South Beach and won 2 NBA championships, which makes me throw up just even thinking about it in my mouth a little bit. That is about the only thing in Cleveland that we can agree on. See, in Lakewood, we have 40 different languages in our school, and that's among about the same amount of races and nationalities within that group. We have different religious groups, and we have very few, I would call, Orthodox Christian faith in those. And we have the largest GLBT community in Ohio, and it is also a community that has this diverse economic structure. We have $1 million homes up on the lakes, and just half a mile, 2 miles from them, we have Section 8 housing, some of the largest Section 8 housings. We are the most densely populated city in Ohio. So in Cleveland, in our little town of Lakewood, we have massive challenges. We're in Judea. We're not in Judea. We are in Samaria, and we don't know what to do. Now, when you do that, you have to learn to what we call really love beyond reason. And when you have to learn to love beyond reason, you can't rely on what you know or what you've been through, and you have to learn to draw closer to Christ. And to be honest, this has been the greatest thing for me and my wife, that we actually get to draw closer to Christ. I'm an engineer. I have a background. I have an engineering degree, and I'm a thinker. I'm always thinking about this way to do it and that way to do it. I'm reading books, and I'm doing. We've got 20,000 different applications for this thing. But when you have to just go like this, I have no idea what I'm going to do. And you begin just to say, God, Help me love beyond reason as you did. You begin to try to listen to his voice and ask him to lead you where you should go next. Do me a favor and turn to Luke 10 if you have a Bible or a phone. You're allowed doing that. Luke 10, you can scroll. It's about 7 scrolls and some tappy taps later. You can get to it. But Luke 10, and we're going to spend most of the time in this place learning. As we prayed about it, God led us to this kind of chapter of why we are in Cleveland and how we're going to really, how are we going to make a dent in Samaria? How are we really going to reach people that are not like us, that we feel like we have nothing in common in us? And he shows us this. Luke 10, verse 1. He says, after the Lord, which is Jesus, appointed 72 others and sent them 2 by 2 ahead of him to every town and place where he was about to go. And he told them, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Yeah, we've heard this a bazillion times, right? This is what every preacher does to try to get us to reach out to somebody. But then it says, ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest. Verse 3, go, I am sending you out like lambs among wolves. Do not take a purse or bag or sandals, and do not greet anyone along the road. See, Jesus tells his followers, like, all the things that have comforted you, all the money, all the trappings, all the things that you think you need to do this, even the intellect that you think you have to be able to reach people, all this, you have to be able to argue apologetics. He says, no, all you need, he said, leave those behind. Leave your purse, leave your bag. Don't think about the money. Don't think about the money. Sorry, I'm a little ADD. Just a little. And he says, go. He just says, go. Trust me in this. That I need you. The only thing I really need you to do is to draw close to me. And then right before that, right, he gives us this very comforting, very, very comforting passage. I'm sending you out like lambs among wolves. Awesome. Yes, that's the verse you want to like make a life verse out of, right? Like, go. I'm going to be eaten alive. Now, to us, that makes us nervous, and I would say even to Jesus' followers, that would have made them super uncomfortable. But the key point of this illustration is that no meek creature like a lamb or a sheep was ever on its own. It always had someone, a shepherd, a farmer, something to take care of it, someone to take care of it, someone to hold it close, to protect it from the wolves and the things that were coming his way. He's really saying, draw close to me. Now, when I was a kid, my dad took me hunting a couple times, and he was actually telling me, like, hey, we generally go hunting here because it's sometimes on big farmland where like horses were able to run, like kind of run wild or stuff like that, or even like cow fields. Like, yeah, we go hunt near cow fields. And he says part of the reason that we do this is so we also can shoot groundhogs. He says, watch out when you're going around because there's going to be groundhog holes, and you could fall in and actually break your foot. And this is what actually would happen to horses and cows. So the farmer would go out there with his super high-powered rifle. I still to this day can't shoot a gun worth of crap. I don't own one because I'd shoot myself in the foot. I just don't do it. But he would go out there, and that's why we have these high-powered rifles with 38 scopes on. We're just picking off gophers from like 600 yards out. I don't know how far you can shoot a gun. I'm not good at it. But you would pick off these animals to protect a cow or a horse from putting their legs in and breaking it, He also would, if there's any other animals that were going to threaten it, like a coyote or a wolf or whatever, this gives you a different picture of what Jesus is doing when he's sending you out, saying, look, I'm going to send you out. You are sheep among wolves, but that's the sheep, the lambs need to stay close to the shepherds to be protected, close to the farmer. And not only says that, he says, look, I have a high-power rifle for you. And that's what this verse you've been going over and over again, is that I've sent my power. Go. I'm sending you power, the Spirit, to listen to God's voice, to hear it, and to lead, let it lead you wherever he is calling you to go. This is what God calls us to do. He has a high-powered Spirit that empowers us and protects us. Let's go on. Here he goes on. He just starts to lay out a strategy, and Kevin loves this because I'm an engineer. I'm like, yes, I like plans. I like dreaming up. I like starting things. So I'm like, yes, God, give me a plan. Give me this. And he gives them a plan. This is what you're going to do, he says. Luke 10, verse 5. When you enter a house, first say, peace to this house. And if someone who promotes peace is there, your peace will rest on them. And if not, it will return to you. Stay there, eating and drinking whatever they give you, for the worker deserves his wage. And do not move around from house to house. And when you enter a town, and are welcomed, eat what is offered to you, heal the sick who are there, and tell them that the kingdom of God has come near to you. Now, at City Edge, we do everything we can to make everything as simple as possible, because let's be honest, we're all like, I only have so much attention span, I only have so much to remember and stuff like this. So we teach it, and look at me. I mean, like, you've already been in with me for like 10 minutes and you're already tapping out. Like, let me out of here. When are we getting out of here? So we do these things what we call life shapes. And these life shapes are where we kind of use a simple illustration to address or illustrate a point. And so we see that Jesus, I'm going to recap the story and kind of break it down into some pieces. We see that Jesus says, like, hey, I'm sending you out to reach people. And I'm sending you out to really love people like I would. And as he says you're going, he's like, the first thing you're going to do is say peace to this house. You're going to say peace to this house, which for you guys who grew up in the 90s, this is like not only just like a statement like peace, like some kind of, bless you because you sneeze statement, which is kind of true. Like, it has this kind of spiritual tone to it. It says peace to the house because God talks about peace all through the Bible. But it also it was this regular greeting. It was like saying, what's up to you guys in the 90s, right? You know what I'm talking about. That's right. All the kids are like, what? Google it. You know what that is. So, what's up was this like greeting. So, peace to this house was a simple greeting of the time, but it was also this kind of it kind of nudged at some spiritual things at the same time to say that, like, may God's peace come upon you. And if they welcome you in, then he says, like, oh, you got something going. There's something good there. So, first we say that there's something to do with welcome. That these people will welcome you in. Like, you say, hey, what's up? And they say, like, hey, what's up? It's like a friendship starts to start. And then from there it says, like, can you read that, or am I not writing big enough? I can't tell. That says welcome. Welcome! I'll redo this a little bit bigger in a second. And then they invite you in. It says that they, like, hey, the people they really liked, they invited in. They said, I like you, you like me, let's hang out. Let's do this. So they invited each other in. And these are non-believers, right? They're showing up to cities where nobody believes, and they're going like, yeah, I don't believe, but I kind of like you. We have an affinity for each other. You're pretty cool. Why don't you come in? I know that you like God because you say peace to this house or whatever, but come on in. And then they start to say, like, they start to serve them. They start to say, hey, let me serve you. Why don't you eat with I eat? Why don't you sit at my table? Why don't we hang out? What can I do for you? I know you're here, and you say you're here to show me something and bless me and show me the kingdom, But how do we do this? And we call this is our person of peace, because it describes this person as the person of peace. When they're sent, they're going to be to find these person of peace. So we often say this. Hopefully I make this big enough. Ooh. You guys are getting excited, I can just tell. We call this person the person of peace, or pop on pop, not dad, not who's your daddy, like, no, like this is hop on pop. So person of peace, and we say who is on your, what is this? Heart. To love beyond reason. Oh, question mark. Right? That was a bad, where did that dot go? It's like, whoa, it's stray. Get back over there. So we draw this out and say, like, who are these people? Notice it's not like you go up to always go up to the wolf and say, like, let's pick a fight. Me and you, the dirty, the person who hates Jesus the most, who's least resistant, like to anything. You go to the person that says, like, hey, I kind of like you, you kind of like me. Let's hang out, let's do coffee, let's invite each other into your life. And God, see, what we find is that God is always ahead of us. He's always opening doors. He's always, it's like his spirit's already ahead of us, and he knows what it's doing, and we're just catching up. This is the default mode of a follower of Jesus, is to hear God's spirit and to catch up. What is God saying to you, and where do I go? What is the next step? And this is when you're trying to figure out how to reach a city, how to reach your neighbors, how to reach your friends. It doesn't matter where you are, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria. As you do this, you begin to identify, who is my person of peace? Where is God already ahead? And you begin to enter into these relationships. As we see this, we encourage people to invest in these people, to be intentional with them, have them over for meals, invite them into what we call our city groups, which are like extended spiritual family on mission together. And we do life together, and we care for each other, we pray for each other. And we say, like, hey, what are you thankful for? Because everybody can be thankful for something, right? You don't have to be a follower of Jesus to be thankful for something, right? You can say, like, oh, I'm thankful. And we say, yeah, we believe that every good gift comes from God. And they go, oh, really? That's interesting. And you begin to invite them into life with God, to tell them that the kingdom is here now. And what's interesting is when you sit down with people, I don't know if this happens with me, needs automatically come up. Just automatically come up. I need help with this. I need this. I don't understand even spiritual needs. Like, how do you do that? Like, I don't understand even how to pray. Oh, you don't understand how to pray? Well, it's pretty simple. And you just begin to unpack it with them. But you first starts with saying, who is God put on my heart to love beyond reason? As we walk through our people, that people have come to be on mission with us, we walk them through this. We live life together, and then we send them out to ask them who are they called to love beyond reason. They begin to identify these people. And from these stories, like one of the first things that brought us to the house that we were in, the bed bug infestation house, it was a duplex with a single mom and the elephants upstairs. You know that? Was me going there and the landlady telling me the story, and it was Section 8 housing that we decided to move into, and I just felt God saying, like, this, you're supposed to be here for the person upstairs. Never matter her story and her need, and say, like, God saying, like, you are supposed to be here. From that story, we begin to see her go through all kinds of needs, and we invited her into her life. She was going through her second divorce when we moved in, and just walking through and caring for her and the kids. And now our kids are our kids' best friends, like they pray for them every night. Jack and Vita, Jack and Vita, Jack and Vita. That's my 3-year-old. That's how she says it. Praying for Jack and Vita, Jack and Vita. And she gets caught on loops. I think she gets that from me. And so we began to say like this, and then she began to invite other people, and then we would walk with and reach other people. God uses one network to reach the next, one person to reach the next. This is how he does, and we see this over and over again. We find a podiatry student who came to be a part of our community, and now he's mentoring inner city youth. We have other people that come, and as I was going out to the city to find out what we need, one of the needs was just always, hey, our houses are starting to fall apart. All our houses were built in the 20s and 30s, and they're starting to decay, and the city wants to stay up with it, so they bring resources to the table. And I met one of the CEOs of one of these economic development companies, and I just said, like, hey, how can we help? We're here to how can we be good news to you is one of the questions I said. As a church, how can we be good news? Because Jesus said over and over again, like, where I show up, it's good news. Like, that's what the gospel means. It's good news. So how can we show up? And we started entering in, and we'd fix up porches. We'd paint porches and do different projects. Actually, right now, we've partnered with the same organization. I mean, like, right now, they are putting out flower pots. Instead of gathering for worship, we're scattering for worship by serving others. And they came to us and said, like, hey, we got raw materials. We have flower planters. I'm not a gardener, okay? But they're 2x2 foot flower planters, and we're going to put flowers in them and, dirt. I guess that's how it works. Right? And you put the dirt in it and you set them outside because they're trying to make curb appeal, right? They're trying to make this Madison area, which is kind of one of the business areas, but it's a little less. We have our Detroit, which is our happening area, and then we have this is kind of Madison. They're trying to spruce it up a little bit. So our people literally right now are shoveling dirt putting it in to bless those people. And this is how we build relationships. Through this relationship that I have with Ian, the Lakewood Alive CEO, they gave me an award. I haven't got an award since I was like 12, where they just hand them out like Tic Tacs. And I got an award for like being the volunteer champion, and got actually voted in on a resolution by the city and the mayor. I don't even know what a resolution by the city and the mayor is. I didn't even know they existed until I came to a meeting, and they're like, we are voting in a resolution to acknowledge the work that's been done by these people. What? And it wasn't by me some massive strategy. It was by me saying, like, who is God calling me to love beyond reason? What are the needs in the city, and how am I going to meet them, to reach them, to care for those around me? By listening, we provided a Christmas store for those in needs, for families in needs. We had like 100+ kids come through, kids who would not have Christmas otherwise. And instead of just going to the kids and adopting the kids and giving it straight to them, while their parents are sitting there looking like, I wish I could provide for my kids. I wish I could go to work. We said, like, well, what if we created a store where the parents get to have some dignity, get to come in and we get to bless them, that they get to come actually and shop for their gift at a minimal to no fee for the gift, and then wrap it and give it to their kids, that they get that experience of picking out a gift for their kids for Christmas, and not looked at as a hand down but a hand up, that we're really giving them an opportunity to walk with them, to invite them into our community, not just to throw some money at it. By doing this, the city of Lakewood, who my wife has a person of peace in the city council, and one of the social workers, the head social worker, they came to us and said, like, hey, will you do that here this year? And we're going to pay for all the gifts. We just want we want the church to be kind of the people that connect to the people. And I said, what? And I said, okay, but we're not allowed putting your name on it, right? Like this has got to be like cities. Like, she's like, no, you can put our stamp on it. Like, put our stamp and our name on it. That is God's Spirit at work, and nothing that we're doing. That's a person of peace that God has put before. Amen? I mean, that's some good news. As we've done this, we've seen, this is how we develop our city groups, because each of our city groups has a mission. And at first, one was to like artists, and they couldn't figure that out, but they just started like listening and said like, hey, I think we need to get out of our house and need to get into a place where artists generally hang out. So they started hanging out at this bar. Actually, they started at a coffee shop, and that coffee shop had an improv group in it. So they connected to this improv group, and that became their people of peace. And just so you know about improv, it's a little bit raunchy, just a little bit. And 9 times out of 10 it is, if you go into like a bar or a public kind of venue. And so those people of peace they started connecting to each other. They started welcoming each other into each other's life and invite them, followers of Jesus. They knew they were followers of Jesus and said like, you seem cool. Like, why don't you come into our lives? They actually, when that coffee shop shut down, they moved into a bar that was a bowling alley / has a stage. It's kind of this hodgepodge of things. And they began to minister to them by being their audience, by being the only people there that showed up for them. And when one of them committed suicide, they invited our people to go mourn with them. And we could sit there and be able to mourn and care for them. This is what happens when you say, who am I called to love beyond reason? Who's on my heart to love beyond reason? You listen to what he's doing. A cool little story that came from that is my friend, he said he heard it on, I never heard this. I still can't find an archived copy of it. He says he listened to ESPN radio and on the sports talk show, and this comedian was on there talking about, hey, I'm going to do this show and in Lakewood, and he's telling the time, da-da-da-da-da. And the comedian started talking about, he's like, when you're out of town and you come in and you do a show, you get very nervous because you just don't know if anybody's going to show up. I'm going to be there doing my thing to like one guy sitting in the back of the bar, not even listening to me. So he's like, but I was told by these people that there's a church group that always shows up and is the audience for these, is the audience for the people. See, sometimes when we think of needs, we think of some big high, or like we have to do some big deal. Sometimes the need for an improv artist who's not getting any followers is what? To show up and just say, I'm here for you, man. Like, when you think something's funny, you laugh at it. When you think it's a little inappropriate, just kind of go, eh. And what was interesting about that is we never convicted them once, but what I think God's Spirit does is goes like, they kept going, like, they would say something that, like, was, like, anti-Jesus or anti-religion, and they'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, when they got done with it, I'm sorry. It's like, you're the one feeling guilty, you know, like, you might have to talk to God. We forgive you. You might need to talk to God about it, though. See, when you find these people, God is always ahead of us, and we are always catching up. Our mission vision for our city group is to reach families. So we started meeting in the park. If you want to reach families, you listen to the needs and go like, oh, park. And we first started in the nice park, and then we realized, well, like, everybody's kind of fine here, and they have their needs met, and they kind of do their own thing. And there's kind of like pockets, but nobody really mingles. But we went to more of like the middle class, lower class park, and we just realized, man, there's so much needs. There's kids running around without parents, and fathers that are absent, and there's 40 different languages, right? And so, like, you have 40 different languages. This is getting challenging all of a sudden. But we started to, like, listen into that, and we started throwing parties in the park. And tonight we're, like, watching a movie, and we're going to have people come, invite their families, or we'll blow up a screen, pray for the rain to stay away. Rain, rain, go away. And we'll invite kids into this. And we did a massive Kids Summer Kickoff. This is the third year we did it, and we had so many people out. We had the schools promote it. They came to, like, I only talked to one of them. They said, oh, we'll get this out to all of them. They printed out all the flyers, posted in their things to come to ours, and it's sponsored by the Downtown City Group from City Edge. Like, it's our people that are living this out, that are doing this to reach kids. And so we had hundreds, like probably around 300 or 400 people show up. And we just blessed them, did free things. And one of our people is a teacher. And she's a teacher in the school doing English as second language. And English as second language, because there's 40 different languages in the school. Kayla was so big about inviting everybody to this, all her kids, all her parents, anything she could do. The problem is there's so many barriers, and even if you give them a flyer, they can't read it, or if the kid tries to explain it to their parent, the parent has no idea what's going on. What? What? And they're like, it's free, it's right here, can we go? And so Kayla, that morning, as we're setting up, she gets there and she sets up and she goes, you know, there's some of my kids here, I see a lot of them, but some of them aren't here. And she starts running to each door, to knock on their door, to open it up and talk to them and say like, hey, there's a party, it's free, to tell the parents to help them understand. No, it's free. And their parents would be like, no, like, it's like, they're like, does it cost anything? No, it is free. And like, how many times do we have to say like, no cost, no thing? Because so often there's a communication background where they will go and they will be put in these situations where the kid looks like they stole something, where they just thought they were getting in line for something free. So their kids would come up to, after Kayla has this heart, which I believe is very close to the heart of God, to run out to invite people back into the party, to say like, no, you're welcome. All are welcome. You might be different. You might not know your tongue, you know, the same. We might not know each other, all our languages and that, but you can understand that we care and that we love and we invite you in. This is what it means to love beyond reason. Who's on your heart to love beyond reason? Who's God? Who are you asking? God, who is on my heart? Right now, seriously, like get out those papers, write it out, take a minute, pause, and think about who is already in your life that is not a follower of Jesus. They know you're a follower of Jesus. You said peace to this house. They know you're a follower of Jesus, but they still welcome you in. They still will hang out with you gladly. They still invite you over to the cookouts, to the barbecues, to the car show, car wash, whatever, anything, out to coffee. And they even, like, as you serve them, they serve you. See, this is the accepting of Jesus into their life before they even know it. Like, they're accepting Jesus by accepting you. See, we talk about love beyond reason. Love beyond reason is this, that God loved you so much that he gave his life for you, that he laid it down so that you can then respond to that and love others with that same radical, always and forever love. This love that never stops, never quits, never gives up. It's always and forever. It loves everybody. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your ethnicity. It doesn't matter your religious background. It doesn't matter what tribe you're a part of. All it matters is that God loved you so much, right where you're at, in your brokenness and your sin and your junk and your, rebellion, and says, I love you enough that I will give my life to you. That in response to my love for you, I want you to love others in that same radical way. At City Edge, we always ask this, and I ask this to you today. What is your next step on your journey with God? What is your next step? And when you go out to reach these people of peace in your life, after you identify them, ask, like, what's the next step? Do we do coffee? Don't worry about the whole plan. Don't worry about the whole plan. Don't worry about how you're going to get them. Just what's the next step? Is it to invite them over to coffee, to hang out with them? Is it to serve them? I know they had this need. They've identified it to me 3 times, whether they need a car or a ride or someone to talk to, they need a counselor, whatever it is. And are you going to say, what's my next step? Am I supposed to try to meet that? Maybe maybe it's, you need to invite them in. You need to invite them over to church. You need to invite them into small group. You need to invite them into life together. What is your next step, and how are you going to walk it out? As followers of Jesus, that is the default mode. We follow wherever he says the next step is. God's always speaking, and he's always telling us to follow him. Our church's mission is to multiply everyday people, to love beyond reason, journey with God, and serve the city. It's not about the how or the what. You can get enamored with that, the how and the what. It's about the who that God loved us so much, and the who that God is putting on our hearts. It's about Jesus and his love for people, and that we look at that and we respond to that. Are we way over? Yep. As you go, here's going to be a video about the how and the what, but never forget who is on my heart to love beyond reason.
say